Hi guys, this is Unit 4, Lesson 5, How Many Groups? And this is going to be Part 2. Part 1 was what you did earlier today. So we're going to use blocks and diagrams to understand more about division with fractions. Remember, the blocks you guys are not going to use because I just don't want them getting lost while I'm not here. So you're just going to have to draw the pictures. So we're going to reason with fraction strips in the 5.1, which is our warm-up. So what it wants us to do is to write a fraction or a whole number as an answer for each question. If you get stuck, use the fraction strips below and be prepared to share your strategy. So how many 1/2s are in 2 wholes? So this is 1 whole. So I see 1, 2, and then 3, 4. So there are 4 halves inside of 2. How many 1/5s are in 3? So if I see 1/5, 1, 2, 3, 4, there are 5/5 in 1, so then 5 times 3 is 15. How many 1/8s are in 1/4? So the way you can think about that is 1/8. How many are in 1/4? There's 2, and then how many are in 1 whole? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 plus 4 gives you, 8 plus 2 gives you 10. All right, 1 divided by 2/6. So remember, 1 divided by 2/6 really means how many 2/6 go into 1 whole. So I'm going to find 1/6, which is right here, and here this is 2/6. So that's 1, 2, 3. So there are 3 2/6 in a group of 1. All right, 2 is my whole, and I'm dividing it into groups of 2/9. So I'm going to find my 9ths really quick. And then I'm going to figure out how many go into 2 wholes. I'm just finding my answer key in my other book really quick. All right. So 2/9. So here's my 9th. So here's 1, 2. So this is 2. That counts as 1 group, 2 groups, 3 groups. And we're doing 2. 4 groups, 5 groups. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's actually 4.5, excuse me. So there's 4.5 groups. And then if we want to do over here, that's 4.5. And 4.5 plus 4.5 is 9. All right. And then if I had 4 wholes and I want to do 1/10, well, tenths are on here, but hopefully you're realizing that the denominator tells you how many you have within 1 whole. So 1/10, there would be 10 of them in 1 whole. So 2/10, there would be 5 of them in 1 whole, and 5 times 4 would give me 20. All right, moving on. 5.2, more reasoning with pattern blocks. Your teacher will give you pattern blocks. I'm not going to give them to you, but you can always draw the pictures as shown here. Use them to answer the following questions. So if the trapezoid represents 1 whole, okay, so remember last time the hexagon was 1 whole, this time they're saying the trapezoid is 1 whole. So this guy is 1. So therefore, if this guy is 1, then this is double that. So this is 2. And actually, let's write the names. So there's a trapezoid. Here's the hexagon. This is the rhombus. And this is the triangle. What they want us to do is now explain, well, what is the size of a triangle out of a trapezoid? So if I were to draw my trapezoid, I know that I can fit 3 triangles inside. So if my trapezoid is 1 whole, then that means that a triangle is 1/3. So I'm going to put 1/3 right here. And then a rhombus, and if I just close that up, that makes a trapezoid. So there's my trapezoid. So a rhombus really is 1/3 and 1/3, which is 2/3. So a rhombus is 2/3. And then the hexagon we already said was 2. Because you take 1 trapezoid, and you take another trapezoid, and that's 1, and that's 1, and 1 plus 1 makes 2. Again, the pattern blocks that I have to show you will not be used in class because I just don't want them getting lost, but I can quickly show you on the video. So if this represents 1 whole, then I know that 1, 2, 3 triangles make one trapezoid, so therefore one triangle is 1/3 of that. A rhombus is really 2 triangles together. So if I have 2 triangles together, that's 2/3. So 2/3 plus 1/3 make the 1 whole. So this is 2/3. And then if this is 1 and this is 1, then that's 2. So there you go with the showing with the shapes. Okay, but again, I don't want you losing them, so you can just draw the pictures. All right. So use pattern blocks to represent each multiplication question. So what I want you to do is use pattern block pictures to represent it. So you're gonna have to just draw it. So use pattern blocks to represent each multiplication. So I want 3 1/3. So which was 1/3? The triangle. So we're going to use the triangle and we're going to draw 3 of them. And a good thing to do is try to put them together. And then it looks like this makes a trapezoid. So this is 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, and 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 does give me 1 whole. The next thing they want to do is make 3 groups of 2/3. The 2/3 were the rhombus. And they want 3 of those, so I'm going to just put them like this. And then what we can do is we can break up the rhombus to see if it does equal 2. So we're going to draw this picture of 3 rhombuses or 3 rhombi. So there's 1, there's 2, there's 3. We know that this is 2/3, 2/3, and 2/3, and 2/3 plus 2/3 plus 2/3 is 6/3, and 6/3 is really 2. If you wanted to, you could also break it up like this, and you would see that this right here is a trapezoid like that, and that right there is a trapezoid like that, and that gives me 1 plus 2, which gives me 2. So just another way to think about that picture. All right. Question 3, Diego and Jada were asked how many rhombuses, so it is rhombuses, are in a trapezoid. Diego says 1 and 1/3. If I put 1 rhombus on a trapezoid, the leftover shape is a triangle, which is 1/3 of a trapezoid. Jada says, I think it's 1 1/2. Since we want to find out how many rhombuses, we should compare the leftover triangle to a rhombus. A triangle is 1/2 of a rhombus. So is the answer 1/3 or is it 1/2? So here's my trapezoid. And it says how many rhombuses are in a trapezoid. So there's 1. And then if I put the trapezoid on here, it looks like it's half of the trapezoid. It's not 1/3 of it, but what Diego is saying is that, oh, because of the triangle is the size 1/3. But are they asking for how many triangles and how many rhombuses? No, they're just asking for rhombus. So they want to know how many rhombuses. So here's 1 whole. And if I put this on here, it cuts it right here. And so that would be half of that rhombus. So Jada is the correct one because it's a full rhombus plus half of a rhombus. So here's 1 rhombus and here's half of the rhombus. Okay. Question 4. Select all the equations that can be used to answer the question, how many rhombuses are in a trapezoid? So what we're doing is, if a trapezoid is 1, we want to see how many groups of 2/3 go into 1. So which of those shows 1 being divided by 2/3? C. And this one doesn't work, and neither does that one. So let's think about multiplication. So if 1 is my whole, if 1 is my total, then to make it multiplication, I could say 2/3 times what gives me my total, and that's what B says. So C and B both represent how many rhombuses are in a trapezoid. All right. And then on 5.3, you're just going to skip it. So if you'll just write skip at the top, it's just one of those activities that we're not going to be doing in this book, and that's okay. If you want to give it a go, you can, but it is not necessary. So what you're going to do now is you're going to go ahead and work on your homework, and then the answers will be posted. The answer key is on my website on the homework, underneath the homework log, but I've actually already done it. So I'll go ahead and show you my answers. So question 1, use the tape diagram to represent and find the value of 1/2 divided by 1/3. So here's 1/2, and then I cut it into groups of 1/3. And how many 1/3 fit into 1.5? Or to fit into a half? 1.5. So what they're asking is, if I've got a half, how many groups of 1/3 fit in there? Well, here's one group, and here's half of a group. So 1.5 groups of 1/3. And I'll add that in there. So 1.5 groups of 1/3. All right, question 2. What is the value of 1.5 divided by 1/3? Use pattern blocks. So I use pattern blocks right here. So I took 1/2 and divided by 1/3. So I took a rhombus, or excuse me, I took a hexagon and I broke it up by a rhombus and triangle. So a rhombus is 2, hold on. Okay, yeah, a rhombus is 1/3. So here's one rhombus, and then here's half of a rhombus. So that's how I got 1.5. So the answer is still 1.5 groups of 1/3. All right, question 3. How many halves are in 7? I got 14 because 1/2 times 14 is 7, or 7 divided by 1/2 is 14. How many 3/8 are in 6? There are 16 because 3/8 times 16 is 6, or 6 divided by 3/8 is 16. And then C, 5/16 are in 1 7/8. I said 6 because 5/16 times 6 is 1 7/8, or 1 7/8 divided by 5/16 is 6. And you could have drawn these, done a diagram, your choice. You could have just skip counted also. All right, next. Question 4. Use the tape diagram to represent the answer and answer the question, how many 2/5 are in 1.5? So they drew 1.5 for me, and then I need to find out 1/5 sizes. So 1/5, 1/5, 1/5, 1/5, 1/5, that's one whole. And then 1/5, 1/5, 1/5, 1/5, 1/5. So because my group sizes are 2/5, this counts as one group, one group, one group, and this is half. Well, it's 3/4 of a group because this is half and that's a fourth. So 3/4 of a group. So that's how I got 3 3/4. All right, write a multiplication equation and a division equation to represent each question. So this is going back to our lessons 2 and 3 from last week. So there are 12/4 and 3. So 12 times 1/4 is 3, or 3 divided by 12 is 1/4, or 3 divided by 1/4 is 12. How many 2/3 are in 6? So what times 2/3 is 6, or 6 divided by 2/3 is what, or 6 divided by what is 2/3? Question B, or that was A and C. B, 4 times a half is 2. 2 divided by 4 is a half, or 2 divided by half is 4. D, 5 times 2/5 is 2. 2 divided by 5 is 2/5, or 2 divided by 2/5 is 5. All right, question 6. So which is the better deal? 1.5 liters at $2.70 is the better deal because it ends up being $1.80 per liter, where the other ends up being $1.90 per liter. So the 1.5 liters was the better deal. And then question 7, a recipe uses 5 cups of flour for every 2 cups of sugar. So how much sugar is needed for 1 cup of flour? 2/5 or 0.4. How much flour is used for 1 cup of sugar? 2.5 cups or 5 halves or 2.5. And then question C, how much flour is used for 7 cups of flour or 7 cups of sugar? 17.5 cups. And then how much sugar is used with 6 cups of flour? 2.4 cups. All right, so those are the answers for lesson 5. If you have any questions, you can ask Miss Ashley or Miss Hartman across the hallway, or just wait until I get back into class. Khan Academy is also a great website to use, so don't forget, you can always go to Khan Academy, watch the videos there, and do some practice problems. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you guys later.